Are we allowed to hate in this podcast?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh,
Yeah.
great. Fuck keto. Keto doesn't work. Stop doing keto. Jesus Christ.
Hey everyone, this is Ryan from Aethix Fitness, and this is season 3 of the Aethix Approach podcast, the podcast where we highlight incredible vegan athletes, nutritionists, and other influential and inspiring vegans in the community and find out what they do to absolutely kill it on a plant-based diet. If you haven't already, please give us a follow anywhere you're listening to this, and feel free to check out the other content I'm producing on aethixfitness.com, including the Aethix coaching services, merch, articles, free training programs, and YouTube videos. Also, feel free to check out my personal fitness Instagram at TofuStrong for more podcast updates and additional content. Creating content like this is a huge passion of mine, and I greatly appreciate any support along those lines. All of my links will be in the description, and thank you so incredibly much for all of the continued love and support. Today, we have an incredible guest with us who's paving the way for strong vegan women all around the world, Katya Gorbacheva. Katya is not just any powerlifter, she's one of the strongest vegan women on the planet, a nationally qualified USAPL powerhouse and an elite force in the USPA/IPL. Plus, she's part of the PlantBuilt and Vegan Strong teams, the largest vegan athletic team out there. In today's episode, Katya dives deep into her transformative journey from the world of bodybuilding to powerlifting, why she's left the bodybuilding stage behind, and the pivotal moment of a surprising blood test result, which inspired her to try going plant-based, and the subsequent effects on her follow-up blood work. She'll also share her experiences of being one of the few vegans when she heads back to Russia, and how she's using her own journey to bridge the knowledge gap in nutrition and exercise for everyone she coaches. But that's not all. Katya gets real about the struggles she's faced, yo-yo dieting, orthorexia, and finding a healthy relationship with food and her own body. Now with a wealth of science-backed insights, she's helping others achieve their health and fitness goals through intrinsic motivation and a love for their bodies. And of course, we'll hear all about her favorite vegan eats, her future goals, and the unique approach she brings to her coaching. If you've ever wondered about how strength and compassion can be combined into a powerful lifestyle, or how a tailored plant-based approach can affect blood work, this is the episode for you. So get ready for an inspiring conversation with the indomitable Katya Gorbacheva. Without further ado, on with the show. What's up, guys? This is Ryan with the Aethix Approach podcast, and today I am joined by Katya Gorbacheva. Is that right?
Sure.
Kind of. All right. Katya is a powerlifter. She just competed in Mr. America just this past weekend and fucking killed it. Congratulations, first of all. And I'll kick it back to you to do a quick little introduction for yourself.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for having me. And Ryan, I competed with Team Vegan Strong PlantBuilt. We proved that plant protein is all the protein you need, and it is the best for recovery, the planet, and the animals, of course, and your health.
Mm-hmm.
So I won the Miss America in the powerlifting. We took a bunch of titles in strongman. Nick Squires did really great in powerlifting. He also placed first, broke some records. Our bodybuilding team did amazing. Evelyn from Brazil won a pro card. Our kettlebell team crushed it. Really happy to be a part of that movement. And just a little about me, I'm the vegan powerlifter. If you Google Katya Gorbacheva, the vegan powerlifter, you will find me. I do have two YouTube channels, one in English, one in Russian. If you want to just see some life updates, what I eat, how I lift, how I recover, stuff like that. Just published a book that's called The Vegan Powerlifting Starter Guide to help folks who want to improve their body composition do that through strength training, because the majority of my clients, they're like, I want to lose some weight. And then they start lifting heavy and they're like, wait, I don't care about the weight. I care about the weight on the barbell. So yeah, just trying to change the way of thinking of a lot of vegans in terms of yoga is not all you need and running is not all you need. Let's lift some weights. And a lot of women who are like, you don't need to get skinny. You don't need to get shredded. Let's lift some weight. Let's just be healthy. And they get addicted to adding the weight on the barbell. And that's what makes me happy, because we're the vegan powerlifters here. And we're here to change the stereotypes in feminism and veganism.
I love that. I have noticed a big shift in like acceptance of like heavy weight training for women lately. Like over the past
Yeah.
like what, like five to like 8 years or so.
In the
Um,
US.
in the U.S., what about like the rest of the world? You don't think so?
I mean,
Really?
I'm from Russia. I just visited my family. I had to take care of my parents this summer.
Hmm.
And I've offered like coaching there, and every single woman who has reached out to me just wanted to get skinny, lose weight, get skinny, maybe get some booty. So it's
Hmm.
like here 10 years ago. It's
Hmm.
kind of sad. It's like when the Kardashians started to get famous and this like I guess wellness physique, bodybuilding physique type became more mainstream is like
Uh-huh.
you're just all skinny and boobs and ass. I think that's starting to get popular over there
Hmm.
in the Eastern Europe. And to each their own. I don't impose my views on anybody. That's just not what I prefer for myself.
Hmm.
I can train people for any kind of look. It's just like if you have a genetic advantage for this, and if you're able to maintain this, kind of not very likely, very unlikely. Why don't we just lift some heavy weights instead? But they're not there yet mentally, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I definitely have noticed a lot of women doing a lot more. Honestly, yeah, I mean, powerlifting, especially even like I feel like it's been really up and coming for women in the U.S., which is really really cool because it was such a stigma before being like, oh, like if I touch a weight, like I'll look, really manly or whatever,
Boom!
and
Hulk.
yeah, it, and that's just obviously that's not how it is. So I think
Right.
that's great. So you do coaching too, right?
Yeah, I powerlift mainly to get the message out that you can be vegan and strong.
Mm-hmm.
You can
Mm-hmm.
eat only plants and be strong as hell.
Mm-hmm.
And uh I am trying to get the message out that if you are not accepting your body and if you're trying to lose weight, sure, go to the gym, do cardio, you can do dieting, but try to focus on lifting first, try to focus on
Mm-hmm.
heavy weights first. And maybe, just maybe, there's a chance you're going to fall in love with that more than getting yourself emaciated. And then your whole paradigm of what is priority for you changes. You prioritize being strong and you prioritize health
Mm-hmm.
over the looks and over being skinny. And those things are not directly correlated to like health and mental health, but I think being strong and being like a normal BMI
Mm-hmm.
is better than being
Yeah.
super shredded and then just like losing your fearing of losing your period and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah, that's a very good point. And as a guy, it's like, losing energy, losing sex drive, things like that too. And
Yeah.
it can be very unhealthy in a lot of ways. So I love that. That's a very sustainable, healthy approach, and also getting strong. That gives you a lot of
Yeah.
confidence too, right? Like that's another really nice thing.
It's helped with my confidence. It's helps with most of my clients' confidence, but it depends on the person. Some people come in and, if I'm like, okay, let's do like a building month and they start to build some muscle, but they haven't lost much weight. Maybe the scale goes up because muscle weighs more than fat. They stay about the same
Hmm.
size and start freaking out because they're like 5 pounds more, but they're the same size. And they're like, ah. And I'm like, yeah, that's great. Your body's recomposing. Good job. Amazing. And
Hmm.
they're like, no, I wanted to lose weight. And then they just leave. And I'm like, uh, too early. But the people who
Yeah.
stick it through, I think they're overall better long term and their mental health is better. And their self-esteem, like you said, their confidence is just so much better. But some impatient people who are like very susceptible to the societal like pressure and the message
Hmm.
of like, what's on the scale? What's on the scale?
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
think they suffer. So be patient. Give your coach a couple of months if it's a good coach. They should be able to make a change that you're gonna like.
Yeah, yeah, it definitely takes time. That's a really good point. Um, let's circle back a little bit for you personally, and
Yeah.
like what led you to strength training first of all? Like, did you have a background in athletics growing up? What kind of brought you down that route?
That's funny. I'm a nerd. I went to Duke to get my engineering degree, and that's how I arrived to the US.
Hmm.
So I graduated with a civil engineering, math, and architecture degree, and started working in commercial construction. And I was kind of sort of lifting. My dad is not a bodybuilder. He looks kind of like a bodybuilder. I guess he really like values. I think he's orthorexic. I think he values being like low body fat, especially for the summer
Yeah.
and like super trying to eat quote unquote healthy foods. So I was growing up and kind of absorbing this, and I was growing up with like all of those rules about what you can do, you cannot do. So while I was in college, I would lift, but it wasn't like super structured. I'm actually I wanna say this. So I'm moving, right?
Uh-huh.
And I'm trying to scan all my stuff now. So I have found all my old, very old workout journals. And I'm about to make a YouTube video reviewing what I used to do in college and like 10 years ago and 5 years ago in the gym. I
Oh
think
my
it's going to be
goodness.
super funny and it's going to be so
That sounds
relatable
really
for a lot
cool.
of women who would do like some random crap and hope for progress. It's because it was me. So I was
Hmm.
always like into this stuff, but it wasn't structured. I was an engineer. I didn't know anything about athletics or nutrition or lifting for performance. And I was just kind of scrambling, trying to like run and lift and
Hmm.
like maintain this feminine slash skinny slash toned look. And of course I was failing and I was really getting frustrated. So anyways, after college, worked in construction for a little bit, got frustrated with the misogyny and the amount of hours that the United States normal corporate workers are supposed to put in.
Yeah.
Quit that, got certified as a personal trainer, compete in bodybuilding, won 7 awards, started coaching people, probably with less knowledge that I should have had to coach people, but probably more knowledge than the average person had because
Hmm.
my dad was like a bodybuilder type who's he's
Hmm.
never competed, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
He
Yeah. Yeah.
trained like a bodybuilder his whole life
Sure.
and got really frustrated because being very lean and stage lean and winning all those awards did not bring me happiness. It only made me depressed. COVID hit. Uh, I was 4 weeks out of my figure shows with a suit, with the whole shebang ready. Everything got canceled. The
Hmm.
other shows got canceled. And I got more depressed, gained weight, gained strength back, and
Hmm.
went to the basics, which was powerlifting, squat, bench, deadlift, squat, bench, deadlift. The majority of my bodybuilding prep, I only hired nutrition coaches
Hmm.
because my Russian powerlifting coaches, who I've known for a while just from the Russian community locally, were coaching me for exercise. So they were
Hmm.
coaching me for powerlifting base with bodybuilding accessories. So I've
Okay.
always based my lifting around being strong and only then added accessories for like rear delts or whatever they care about for bodybuilding. Delts, mainly delts, and glute ham separation, right? And figured out that powerlifting is probably the only thing that is keeping me sane through COVID.
Hmm.
And after COVID kind of wind down, competed again, and it's too much fun. It's too easy to do. Like bodybuilding is hard to compete because you need to get so lean. Powerlifting is like, if you let me know you have a competition locally, yeah, I'll peak and I'll go on a platform. Like it's no big deal. You don't have to get super lean. So yeah, I just started competing and I don't see a reason to stop.
Hmm. Yeah. That's interesting. I didn't know you did bodybuilding before powerlifting. Do you feel like
Hmm.
that gave you a good base for powerlifting?
No, it took away from
Really?
powerlifting. It gave me a
Huh.
good base of why I want to do powerlifting and not go
Hmm.
to bodybuilding again, even though every bodybuilding show organizer wants for me to do it again. Like
Yeah.
I just talked to Mark, the Mr. America organizer, who is like, "Oh, Katya, what is it going to take you to come back to bodybuilding?" And I'm like,
Yeah.
"A lot of money." Uh, it sucks. Being lean sucks. Like I said, you don't have a lot of sex drive. You want to eat everything that you see. You
Yeah.
hate everyone that you see. You take the elevator, not the stairs. I personally lose my period because I am an apple-shaped human being, and the majority of my fat is on the stomach. I never
Hmm.
have a six pack unless I'm unhealthily lean. So, yeah, my genetics
Yeah.
is more suitable towards strength sports. I am a stocky, strong gal.
Hmm.
I'm relatively lean compared to like most people, I guess, but still getting shredded like this last bit is draining here and is
Oh, it
draining
is.
for the body.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. What about in terms of like just building, like trying to build muscle for bodybuilding? Like that, do you think that transferred well to powerlifting?
I think the opposite. I think if anybody here is considering to do one or the other, first I have a YouTube
Uh huh.
video that differentiates what's the difference between powerlifting and bodybuilding and
Hmm.
how to pick which one to do based on your genetics. So you guys can go watch that on Katya Gorbacheva YouTube. Um, you can see my stage photos in bodybuilding and some powerlifting like lifts and just try to try to think about it. like more logically pros and cons, but powerlifting transfers well to all sports.
Yeah.
Bodybuilding doesn't transfer well to anything, I think. I mean, okay, sorry. Like, what are we considering bodybuilding exactly? Bodybuilding prep or
Well, that's
bodybuilding
that's
like
a good point.
lifting like bodybuilding without getting stage lean unless you need to? Because
Hmm.
powerlifting, most of my powerlifting friends, CrossFitters, strongmen, strength athletes, they just do their shit all year.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Bodybuilders,
yeah.
they lift to maintain muscle and then they get shredded for a while. Their
Where
prep
you lose
takes,
muscle usually.
you lose a little bit, but yes, when you get shredded, you lose muscle. Powerlifting,
Either way, like you're not building muscle during that time, so technically it is a step
yeah,
back for
you're
sure.
maintaining. Yeah, especially if you're advanced. If you're a
Yeah,
beginner, you can gain muscle, lose fat, but
sure,
like if you're a
right.
power lifter, you maintain and you build and you maintain
Hmm.
and you build. You never really, if you're advanced enough, you only move up in weight categories. I don't know a
Uh
lot
huh.
of people unless they're like genetic freaks and they go to IPF worlds who go down in a weight category and
Hmm.
maintain strength. Those
Right.
people are from the moon. They're not from the earth. You should not compare yourself to them. You should not try their program. It would be damaging for most of us. Those people, they're not like us, you
That's such
know?
a good point. That's such a good
Yeah.
point. Yeah, you can't just do what like the best people in the sport are doing for anything,
No.
for bodybuilding, for powerlifting, whatever, because they're probably genetic phenoms, and
Yeah.
just because they have a program out there and they're the most jacked or the most shredded or whatever, it doesn't mean like following their program is going to mean that you get those kind of results, right?
Right. And they could also be on drugs. It's like
That's a good
if
point.
you if you if you if you consider like actors and actresses and whatever celebrities, a lot of the times they're on drugs and we don't know it.
Yeah.
Like yeah, there could be genetic phenoms that go to WNBF Worlds and OCB and Mr. America and IPF for powerlifting and strongman, even though I don't know if there's a world strongman competition that is tested, but that's another topic.
Yeah, I didn't
But
know either.
right. I think most of them are untested.
Untested. Yeah,
Um,
that makes
but
sense.
I'm not in that sport, so write in
Yeah.
the comments if you do know if there's a tested strongman competition. But powerlifting worlds is like IPF is tested, so that's
Yeah.
good. Bodybuilding, WNBF, OCB are tested. Which
Hmm.
ones in like are worlds tested? Do you know?
For, I mean, isn't that WNBF?
Yeah, that's what I said.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, that's all I know of. I don't compete in bodybuilding or well, I do
Right.
powerlifting occasionally, but I'm not very good at it.
Okay. Yeah, but what was my point? Oh, yeah. So if there you can know if it's tested or untested when it's
Yeah.
just a random celebrity. You
Mhm.
don't know if
Yeah.
it's tested or untested and you want to follow their shit.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
following like the I don't know, like Chris Hemsworth workout program or something if you're a guy or like it's like they're probably terrible programs too.
I can't. That's why I coach is because you can just take an individual and you can build a program for them that is
Hmm.
relevant to them. And you shouldn't just copy other people's stuff. You're a different person. And the older you are, the more varied you can be from other people, right?
Yeah.
Like younger
Yeah.
people can pretty much all run, they can all jump, they can all do whatever. And the older we get, either the more specific we get in our sport
Hmm.
or the more overall longevity benefits we get if we are a multidisciplinary athlete, or the
Yeah.
more couch potato and kind of lazy and not being able to do anything we get if we spend all our time at the computer and at the TV. So it's your choice, but the amount of time you accumulate doing those activities increases with age. So that's why the
Hmm.
the dra the drastic difference
Hmm.
between people at age increases, and people underappreciate that.
Yeah. Yeah, there's definitely a lot of individual differences that warrants a specific program, like you said, for sure. Like I know there's all these popular cookie cutter programs and stuff, and like I know a lot of people get success with them. Like you got like starting strength, Mark Ripato's stuff, and then you got like
It's
I
good
don't know, there's like
stuff. It's good to
yeah, yeah,
start with.
it works for people who maybe are like healthy and they have like a decent little bit of a base and they're just kind of starting. But then give someone who's like an advanced powerlifter starting strength, it's like they're probably going to bury themselves with fatigue, right? And then end up getting hurt because it ends up being like RPE 10 grinders at the end.
Yeah, I don't know. Starting strength is not the worst. As long as you like don't do like Shaco, you should be fine.
I've done it before. I've done Shaco. I've done Smolov.
I've
Yeah,
Russians are hardcore. I love my Russian
it's
coaches. I
crazy.
mainly have Russian exercise coaches, but yeah, they have like zero empathy, zero emotional intelligence. So you need to consider that. So
They're just like go hard, go hard, go hard kind of
I
thing.
think yeah, what's the country? I think there was a Bulgarian team
Bulgarian.
that produced a
Yeah.
lot of excellent strength athletes, and there was like an interview with their coach, and they were like, "Yeah, we're just throwing this program at as many people as we can, and like whoever survives, like goes up." So
Yeah.
it's basically a
Survival of the
match
fittest.
exactly, and I don't think that's a program that you want to do.
Yeah.
If somebody survived, it doesn't mean you won't get injured. So.
Yeah,
Yeah, maybe go
especially if
easy.
you yeah, especially if you also like work a full-time job, maybe you have like a family or something, like how are you going
Yeah.
to train that much?
Well, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like the mo majority of the great lifters that I know don't actually train that much. They don't train as much as people think we do. Like I train 3 days a week, 2 to 3 hours. The majority of my powerlifting buddies train maybe 3 to 4 days a week. Yeah, about 2 to 3 hours tops.
Okay.
Bodybuilders train more.
Mhm.
They probably do 5 sessions a week, not including cardio,
Yeah,
which
for in
like my
prep. Yeah.
cardio is walking my dog and having sex. So I don't want to like be on the treadmill or in the elliptical for alone for
Yeah.
45 minutes. Fuck that. That's
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely. I think a lot of the bodybuilders go during prep. I mean, they have to do so much cardio and stuff to get that lean. Another reason why they end up having all these side effects, down the road. It's just like burying yourself in fatigue and also just not eating. It's like a recipe for disaster.
I don't know. I feel like bodybuilders are pretty healthy long term. What kind of side effects are you talking about?
No, just like when you're peaking, just like the all the effects you kind of talked about earlier, like losing your period, losing energy in general, like
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that just
just
comes naturally with it, but it's short term.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
for
you
sure.
have to buy into that before you go into the process. You have to realize how angry and weak you're going to be. It's just like a month out of powerlifting, you're also going to be pretty fatigued.
Oh yeah.
I can probably compare that fatigue with the bodybuilding fatigue, because the volume is no joke. If
Yeah.
you are competitive in powerlifting, your lifting volume is like 46 weeks out. That's when it hits the hardest, right before
Hmm.
the deload, before the comp. It's no joke. And it's tough. Like, yeah, we don't usually lose weight. Some people do still cut for powerlifting meets. They can cut a couple of pounds and
Hmm.
it's fine. Some people water cut, some people gut cut. I do
Hmm.
prefer a mix of both. I prefer mainly gut cut and then the water cut. Um, but if you can, if you're a new lifter, please do not do that. Just compete. And then after that, when you've kind of established the way of things, then you can decide water cut, gut cut. It's kind of not worth it to do that right away.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Just like build your foundation, just get your feet wet in a competition or two, get used to the
Exactly.
rules. Makes sense.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So what let's touch a little bit on like the veganism aspects and such. Like you kind of talked about like your you kind of got into like construction and stuff and you're doing bodybuilding and all that, and then during COVID you switched over to more powerlifting and such. When along this whole timeline did you go vegan? Like what drew you to that?
Yeah, so I went vegan right after college when
Okay.
I got my corporate job. I was so happy. I was like killing it. I was doing the American dream type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And they had free blood tests at work for us.
Mm-hmm.
So you could just give blood and they give you your lipid panel, your cholesterol, your triglycerides. And I was 23 at the time. I was running. I pretty much had, like, I was pretty lean. I was what, like 140, 145?
Okay.
Between 140 and 150 at like 5'7". So I looked good. I was shredded enough that it made me happy. I wasn't like super
Mm-hmm.
cut, but I thought I was like living the life. And the blood work arrives and I'm borderline heart disease. My triglycerides are high.
Wow.
My HDL to LDL ratio is horrible. And I'm like, I'm I look very good. I feel okay. What is wrong?
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't run for very long distances. Like my side would hurt. And I always feel like my stomach was kind of like there was a bunch of bricks sitting in it. Like it was just very hard. Like
Uh-huh.
my dad every morning when he wakes up and he does his like morning like 10-minute gymnastics, he usually like massages his belly to make sure all his organs are like soft and things are moving. I had pain when I tried to do that. So I was like, okay, maybe things are wrong, but it never really caught my eye until that. And I started looking into things that were not drugs and kind of ways that are outside the drugs and outside the doctors to lower cholesterol and to get blood work more
Uh-huh.
normal. And I stumbled upon Cowspiracy and Forks Over Knives and other vegan propaganda movies, which I did some research at the time and I was like, okay, some of these facts are definitely cherry picked, but still, it's like it makes sense, makes enough sense to try it.
Mm-hmm.
It's better. I would rather be safe than sorry, and I'd rather just try it. It's not there's not
Mm-hmm.
going to be any harm if I just try to go vegan and then it doesn't work. Okay. So I slowly got rid of dairy and I introduced tofu. I introduced fake meats. I introduced soy milk. So I tried to like introduce foods and kind of naturally replace the foods that I was eating that were animal based with the foods that
Mm-hmm.
I've introduced. So that was a very healthy way to do it, I think. I think for anybody who's trying to go vegan, adding vegan things to their diet rather than just getting rid of the animal products and then, oh, what do I eat? Only vegetables and rice? Damn. I think that's a healthier way to do it.
Uh-huh.
Like, good job if you want to just get rid of all the animal products, but then you're like, oh, where do I get my protein? Introduce the vegan protein first. Introduce the things that you're worried about first, and then just naturally your animal-based products get pushed out. So that's what I did over a summer.
Mm-hmm.
And after like 8 weeks of being mostly vegan, I did my blood work again, and my blood work was back to normal. And I was shocked
Eight
because,
weeks.
yeah, I
Oh,
went
that's not even that
to
very long. That's
so
crazy.
I went to the doctor with my horrible labs, and I was like, "Listen, this is horrible. What should I do?" And they recommended drugs, and I was like, "I'm 23. Fuck that. Not taking
Yeah.
drugs. Not
Yeah.
doing it." Other ways. And they're like, well, you can fix your diet. I'm like, of course I can fix my diet. You should have started with that. So, anyways, I ended up fixing my diet myself without the doctor. But the doctor was like, okay, in like 8 weeks, you can come after you've mainly fixed your diet. You've
Mm-hmm.
mainly, did the changes that you wanted to make and you've kept that going. You can come in and test again. And that's what I did. So probably it was like 3 or 4 months
Mm-hmm.
when because it took me time. I did not go vegan cold turkey, and I do think that it doesn't work for most people.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So I'm happy that I did it over some time,
Yeah.
and my gut microflora got adjusted. Everything got kind of replaced, and I
Mm-hmm.
was just at a comfortable space. But yeah, my blood work has been about the same ever since, except for when I eat junk and drink beer, which
Yeah.
happens. It
Yeah.
happens.
And that's
We're
okay.
human.
That's totally, that,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. That's so interesting. So like I also like I do blood tests regularly just because, I think a lot of us who are vegan or into plant-based dieting or whatever, like, we're pretty health conscious. And I like to keep an eye on it. So like I've
Yeah.
seen also firsthand like my LDL cholesterol, how low it got. It got down to 43, 44 for LDL
Yeah,
cholesterol.
mine's around
And
50. Yeah.
yeah, that's amazing. That's so good. So like I guess my question is like, what do you think about people who are basically cholesterol deniers? Like in terms of like, oh, dietary cholesterol doesn't affect your serum cholesterol, your blood cholesterol, or like saturated fat. Like, what do you think about that? As someone who's seen it firsthand, and the effects of like eating more plants and such, lowering cholesterol.
I think it's natural selection.
Yeah, like if someone wants to.
We can be, well, I hope if they're in cholesterol deniers, they're heaven believers. I don't
That's
know.
amazing.
I
yeah.
mean, do you
That's
believe in science? You can be science denier. Good luck to you. I'll see you at the cemetery.
yeah. But like you know how I feel like a lot of these people they just don't want to change the way they eat so much that they convince themselves that something that has a lot of evidence it still won't work, you know? But it seems like you were so
Placebo
open-minded.
only goes so far.
Yeah.
That it has a limit. You
Yeah.
can't placebo your blood work out of being horrible because you eat steak or bacon and eggs every morning,
Yeah.
fried in butter. Sorry.
Yeah, exactly.
That's I don't know, to each their own. Some
It
people would
it's
rather
such a
do that and live 50 years. That's okay. That's a choice.
yeah.
All right.
Yeah, that's been really interesting to me lately. I keep seeing that. But that's really
I mean,
cool. So you
I keep choosing to kind of sort of push my body to its strength limit with powerlifting. It's also not
uh-huh.
very healthy. That's a choice. I do realize if I was more of a multidisciplinary athlete who did, like CrossFitters, more gymnastics and more cardio, and I would eat more whole foods, plant-based, yes, I would be healthier. Do I do
hmm
that? No.
Yeah.
Natural selection. I lower my life span uh willingly because
Uh-huh.
those are my choices. I realize the results of those choices, so I hope those people realize the results of those choices too.
Yeah.
So to the haters who are about to write some bad comments, I do that too. Everybody does that. We all are aware. We're human beings who are aware of our choices. Most of us are aware. I believe most of us are aware, even though we act like, I don't know, I'll be fine. I'll drink 10 beers a day and I'll be okay. Yeah, sure. Um, yeah, we all do that, but that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. That's amazing. So, you got into so it's you said you watched like Cowspiracy and such. I that was one of the ones that made me kind of go vegan too. I was vegetarian for 4 years,
Yeah,
and
it's a good
yeah,
movie.
it's great. Yeah. So did the like they talk about a lot about like environmental aspects and obviously like
That
animal
got me
ethics too.
more probably than the health, even. Like the environment was probably number one for me. I mean,
Okay.
health, yeah,
Yeah.
labs, yeah, not good,
Yeah.
but the environment, like I'm a civil environmental engineer, and the environmental
Yeah.
effects of everything are just, yeah, I think that's my one reason to stay vegan.
Yeah. Sure.
For most people,
Yeah.
it's ethics, but for me, it's the environment.
Well, it makes sense too in a way because like if there's if the whole world goes to shit, nothing's gonna live.
Right.
So
Kind of, yeah, exactly. Yeah. And we'll get hurricanes and we'll get, yeah,
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 exactly,
nothing's
and
going to survive.
that's something we're obviously seeing in our recent days. It's kind of crazy.
Yes.
Well, yeah, that's all really cool. So how do you think that when you first kind of went vegan, you were already lifting and such?
Yes.
Did you how did you adapt it to your diet beforehand? Were you worried about like losing any sort of strength or muscle?
So people ask me like how veganism like added to my lifting and if I got like so much stronger or if like a magic fairy appeared and it just added pounds on my barbell. No, it did not. I only started progressing in lifting when I hired a coach and my lifting got structured.
Hmm.
That is it. Veganism helped my health. It helped my mental health. It helped well, it didn't really help my anxiety about the world because I got more knowledgeable about what happens to the animals and what happens to the humans and our planet. But it helped me be more aware of what I can do.
Hmm.
So in that sense, that made it a little bit better. Um,
Were you worried about losing muscle, strength, whatever?
I wasn't worried about that at all. I didn't care about that at all at the time. I
Uh
only
huh.
cared about like my blood work in terms of, me and like health and stuff and the looks. I
Uh huh.
was always really worried about the looks, which is why I started with bodybuilding. I just thought that looking like a magazine cover is going to make me so happy. And
Yeah.
after I did that and it didn't do that, I was like, huh, what a lie. That sucks. I thought it was so easy to get happy. You just get shredded, right? No.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, but I hired a vegan coach to just get shredded and stay shredded.
Hmm.
And I didn't realize that was not a thing that I can do. And
Yeah.
she was like, yeah, why don't you compete? You're gonna do great. And I didn't want to compete. I just wanted to get shredded and stay shredded and be happy forever because being shredded makes you happy, right? Wrong. But we competed. I competed. Uh, and after realizing that doesn't bring me any happiness, um, went back into strength sports. But I think with a structured program and good macros, you can reach results
Yeah.
regardless, whether you're vegan or omnivore or what, however you eat.
Uh-huh.
I think with most diets, well, I'm saying most, not all. Are we allowed to hate in this podcast?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh,
Yeah.
great. Fuck keto. Keto doesn't work. Stop doing keto. Jesus Christ. Yeah,
Yeah.
as long as you're not keto, you should be all right.
Yeah, I
Um,
think we can agree that carbohydrates are really important for uh, high power output sports and such. I mean, maybe you could do like long distance running on keto. I don't really know much about running, but I it kind of makes sense theoretically. I think.
yeah, I know some people who do like lifting and they do keto, but they've gained the majority of their muscle when they were younger, and now they're just like doing keto to stay lean. And
Yeah,
I'm
that's a big thing.
wondering
Yeah.
if they like have an easier time just not having any carbs at all,
Hmm.
and they kind of forget how cool carbs are because they've just been depleted from carbs for this long, and like
Yeah.
they're not making any new progress. They're just doing the pictures and videos for social media. So I
Hmm.
think if you're a competitive athlete and you're on keto, if you're a competitive strength athlete, uh, that's
Yeah.
a tough game.
Right. I think
I don't
any
know most people who are on keto and they're competitive strength athletes. Bodybuilders maybe, but strength?
yeah. I agree. I can't think of a single one that like carnivore, keto, whatever. It just sounds like
They're just
I don't
influencers,
think
right?
yeah, that's it. And there a
Yeah.
lot of them are on steroids or something in that case, right?
Oh yeah. I don't know that side of the world, unfortunately. Maybe I should
I
learn
don't
about that, but
yeah, you kind of look at someone and you feel like, you remember Mark Bell? Yeah, that dude. Yeah, he was one of those guys on Carnivore who obviously would talk about all of his drug use and stuff. So, one n equals one example right there.
I'm thankful for Mark Bell's equipment though. Mark Bell's equipment
I like
is
the slingshot.
stellar.
Yeah, I like the slingshot. I thought it was pretty cool. Um, I am not the biggest fan of that dude. I'm sure you would
The
agree.
reverse hyper,
That that was Louis Simmons, right?
Mark Bell has one as well.
Oh, okay, okay. Um, yeah, that's great. Yeah, I mean, that at least some good things came out of that.
Yeah.
But all right, let's keep. So I have a couple more questions. So
hmm
regarding like your nutrition and your plant based diet, how has that changed over the years? Like, has it changed a lot? Has it changed a little bit? Like,
Yes, I
yeah.
was pretty orthorexic when I started being vegan.
Mm-hmm.
So I tried to go by the rules of like what's healthy, what's not healthy. This is a healthy food, this is not a healthy food. And then I went into tracking macros and obsessing over those. I have OCD, and it is very easy to get upset over like grams not fitting. I'm 3 grams over, I'm 3 grams under. God damn
Mm-hmm.
it. And then I figured out that it's feeding into my body dysmorphia and eating disorder behavior, which I had in college. So I don't want to continue with that stuff. So I stopped tracking. I train a lot of clients and I write their meal plans. So I know how to get enough protein. And that's pretty
Mm-hmm.
much the only thing that I worry about. I
Okay.
just worry about, or let's say I focus on, I don't
Mm-hmm.
worry about not, if I eat papaya and I lay on the beach and drink beer all day, be it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
If I get zero protein on vacation, be it. I'm not
Uh
gonna
huh.
die. Like, come
Yeah.
on. Vacation's vacation. We all need days off. We don't always need to stress out about things. But most days,
Yeah.
when I'm at home and I'm working, and when it's like an average day, I focus on getting enough protein in my 3 or 4 meals or 2 meals sometimes that I eat. If I'm lazy to breakfast, I'll just drink 2 scoops of protein shake.
Yeah.
Great. If I eat breakfast, it's usually um, oatmeal with quinoa, sorry, with chia seeds and flax seeds.
Mm-hmm.
and berries on top. It could have some fake meat sausages on the side, or it could be a tofu scramble, or it could be some protein pancakes, or it could be uh, silken tofu blended with stevia and some berries and some TVP on top for some crunch, kind of like a
Mm-hmm.
vegan cottage cheese yogurt thing. So that's breakfast.
Mm-hmm.
Lunch and dinner are usually the same. They are either tofu or seitan or fake meats or some kind of starch or grain on the side. So it could be potatoes, sweet potatoes. It could be quinoa, buckwheat, Russian. We love buckwheat. Buckwheat is the best grain. If you agree, please write in the comments that you love buckwheat. I love buckwheat. Buckwheat is the best. All bodybuilders in Russia eat buckwheat.
Oh, I didn't know that, huh?
Buckwheat, yes. But rice, beans, quinoa, and a bunch of greens on the side. It's usually one bowl is like proteins and grains or
Mm-hmm.
starches, and the second bowl is a huge ass salad.
Mm-hmm.
Or if I'm lazy to cut it, I'll just eat romaine like out of
Yeah.
the, I'll just sit there and I eat a bell pepper and a cucumber because I'm too lazy to cut it.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, I'm a horrible chef. I just don't mix things lately. I used to make pretty meals, but now not really. But this has
Yeah, I'm
been my
lazy.
snack. It's papaya,
Uh,
and I
you
just
cut it
eat
though?
it. I did cut it. I did clean it off the seeds, but I didn't put anything on it. I didn't put on a salad, even though I promised us to, but I just eat it like this, and
Yeah.
I think it's the best snack. Fruit are the best snack and the best
Oh, it's
dessert.
so good. I'm
Yeah.
really lazy with cooking, so that's why I buy all my vegetables frozen because I hate cutting vegetables so
Oh,
fucking much.
wow.
I
Wow.
hate
Yeah,
it.
I can
Yeah.
relate.
So like I love just buying a bag of vegetables, throwing it into a pan along with like, like chickpeas,
Tofu.
tofu, whatever.
Yeah.
Just throwing soy
Oh
sauce
yeah,
on
I
it,
forgot
like
about
sriracha.
chickpeas.
Good to
Yeah,
go.
chickpeas are
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
So in Russia, when I was growing up, we didn't have like almost any tropical fruit, or in the winter, there was like almost no fruit. It's whatever you had in your basement, in your storage unit. So you could get
Wow.
like apples, maybe bananas. For my birthday, I would get cucumbers and kiwis. My birthday's in February, so they're
Uh-huh.
really expensive and imported. So I don't understand like having grown up with the lack of fresh fruit and vegetables, especially the
Uh-huh.
whole long winter. I don't understand how people don't think that fruit is dessert. Fruit is
It's
dessert,
nature's candy.
everybody. It's the dessert. And I would much rather eat berries and fruits than cake and cookies.
I can agree
I
with
don't get
that.
it. I don't know.
I
It's so
like cake and
weird.
cookies and stuff, obviously, but like
Yeah.
fruit, it just makes you feel good and it's so tasty. I would
It's
agree.
so
It is a dessert.
tasty.
I could just eat like a
Yeah.
bowl of fruit and be like, this is the most satisfying thing ever, right?
Yeah, so I feel like if I wasn't an athlete, I would just eat fruit all day. And if
I would love
and
to.
people who are like, "Oh, blood sugar." Shut up. Can we
Yeah.
please? Whoever got diabetes because they ate too many bananas? No one.
Yeah. Never once heard of that. At least you really appreciate fruit because a lot of people don't.
I appreciate a lot more fruit.
The standard American diet, people.
My favorite food is cucumbers, fresh cucumbers. My favorite meal is
Oh,
cucumbers.
that's a good one.
If I could eat anything all my life, it would be like cucumber, strawberries, and papaya. If
Cucumbers are like what, like
if
10 calories for like
nutrition,
a whole
yeah,
cucumber.
but I genuinely love them. It's like if nutrition didn't matter, if I could survive off of
Yeah.
cucumbers only and they provide enough sustenance, I would just eat that.
Yeah. I don't know how people don't like vegetables and stuff. It blows my mind. But I
Yeah.
guess your taste buds do change, right?
I don't know how scientific this is, but I've heard that whatever your mom ate when she was pregnant with you is forms your palate.
I've heard that too, but it could definitely change, right? Like, have you experienced like eating differently and like really hating a certain food and then starting to force yourself to eat more of it and then really enjoying it?
Yes, that's how I have gotten to like dairy as a child. I really did not like anything milk related. No
Huh.
kefir, no yogurt, and I was forced to eat that as a kid because you have to eat kefir, like drink kefir for the, bacteria in the stomach. So I started
Uh-huh.
to like it,
Yeah.
and in the US it's not as popular, and milk here really sucks, and cheeses here really suck. So like when I'm in the US. I really don't care about any dairy, and it's really easy because we have so many meat replacements.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah, when you're in Russia, it's really hard because dairy's in everything. Um,
Oh.
Yeah, it's really
Do they
dairy heavy country.
do they have a decent vegan movement in Russia or not really?
It's hundreds of people.
That's it.
That's why I started the vegan powerlifter social media, like Instagram channel, which is ru about lifting, but in Russian. I started the
Uh huh.
vegan powerlifter YouTube channel, which is like vegan and in Russian. Um, Working on a website. So yeah,
Wow.
we need to put some energy in that. Yeah, it's
It's
very
it's that
sad.
few people over there. That's really crazy.
Yeah, it's a country of 180 million people, and
Yeah.
we maybe have a couple thousands vegans, maybe.
Why do
Like
you
I'm
think?
gonna be performing at two expos, one in Moscow and one in St. Petersburg. And the one in St. Petersburg is gonna be 300 people,
Mhm.
including spectators, and one in Moscow is like mainly for producers of products. So it's probably gonna be almost 1,000 people, but I don't know. And here, like any veg fest is two, three, 5,000 people. So it's
Wow.
sad
Why do you think that is?
because people are poor and because people have other things to worry about. Because the
Oh yeah,
Maslow
sure.
pyramid of needs, it's
Uh huh.
safety first. Do you have a roof over your head? Do you have means to feed your family? Do you
Uh huh.
have, so look up Maslow pyramid of needs, and then at the
Mhm.
top is like self-actualization and making sure you have a purpose. So in the West, we are lucky enough that we can focus. We don't super have to worry that like our water or electricity is going to get shut off or
Uh
somebody's
huh.
gonna, um, that we're gonna have to go to war.
Yeah.
But over there, it's different. People are a lot poorer, so they don't have the mental capacity to worry about the animals or the environment. They're worried about feeding
Right.
their children and educating and dressing their children. So they don't care if it's steak or eggs or tofu, as long as it's tasty and it provides
Mhm.
sustenance. They don't have time to research and worry about like safety and well-being of other living creatures on the planet, which is sad. But we first have to make sure humans are well enough, and then they will take care of animals and the planet. If the humans don't, they feel like they're under attack
Mhm.
physically or mentally or in any other way, then they won't worry about anything else but their
Right.
families.
Yeah. That really makes sense. I've always thought like I've kind of gone by the idea of being like take care of yourself first. Once you're in a good place, then you could take care of others and such. You're because you're in that much better of a
Right.
spot. I totally can see that. But like in a place like America, where a lot of people here are honestly doing pretty decent. I mean, obviously there's a pretty big lower class and such. Like I get that, but a lot of people are doing pretty good. Um, what do you think about like people here who are mostly doing better, not really like they're a lot of them are pretty selfish in my opinion. Do you think that or not really? As someone who's like moved over here.
It's a capitalistic country. It's an
Yeah.
individualistic country where personal success is valued above everything else.
Hmm.
We are juxtaposed against each other. Who gets
Yeah.
hired, you or your friend who went to college with you? Russia has been communist for 75 years. We have a collectivist country. And those things are hard to break. They're starting to break now. Now
Hmm.
that for 30 years we've kind of had a little wild market, and there first like was unruly capitalism. There's still some socialistic things that are left, such as like socialized education and medicine,
Uh huh.
but those things are waning. The feminism from the Soviet is waning, which is really sad because people were like everybody was equal. Everybody was tavarish in Soviet Union, you know what I mean? And
Uh huh.
like women, men, equal pay, equal, like everything was equal. Unfortunately, the second shift, responsibilities were not equal. Women are still supposed to take care of the children and do all that in the Soviet, but women in Russia still get 3 years maternity leave on the government.
Uh
Their
huh.
company just says, okay, they had a baby, they're out for 3 years taking care of the baby. 3 years.
Wow. Yeah. It's 3 months here, I think.
No, it is not.
Here?
We are. It is 2 to 3 months if you work for a good company and they provide that. It is
Uh-huh.
nothing here. Government did not set any maternity leave. We're the only developed country that does not have any legal
Anything.
amount of
Wow.
maternity leave. No, anything.
I
Yeah.
know, like the company that I work for, there was somebody who just had a baby. They had a 3 month maternity leave. Um, I guess I just kind of thought that there's some sort of government rule in place, but that's
Nope.
crazy. That's
Nope.
crazy.
Nope. Nope.
Jeez.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I guess there's more collectivism in the post-Soviet countries
Uh huh.
because people were motivated to do the communist thing together. And then if they didn't want to, and they were kind of against the regime, they still united with each other to be against the regime. So, anyways, there was unity regardless what you were doing.
Okay.
And here, there's individualism,
Mm-hmm.
and I cannot deal with that.
Yeah. That definitely makes sense. Yeah, it's kind of crazy overall. Things are kind of crazy across the whole world in a lot of ways. But
It's like if you're selfish, you'll succeed. That's the motto here. And back home, it's like if you join the others, you will succeed. That's the motto there. That's how I feel. Maybe I'll change
yeah.
my mind after I'm there for a little bit, but
So, well, let's bring it back to something a little more
I'm
positive because I
sorry.
feel like we
I'm
no,
sorry.
no. No, it's like this is the way like I think a lot. So I'm just
I
like,
doomed your
you know,
podcast, Ryan. I'm
no, no, no.
sorry.
You know what? Like it's such an important thing to talk about too, though. Like we can't always act like everything's like perfect, right? And it is really interesting to hear about like how things are so much different outside of the U.S. and like how like veganism. You have to be in a good place, to an extent to be able
It's a
to think
privilege.
about.
It's definitely
Yeah,
a privilege.
yeah, I would say so. I think a lot of people would get bothered by that, but it is like you need to be in a good place frugally, where you can be able to make these decisions with what you buy and what you because if you just get certain things for cheaper and free, like you got to support yourself and your family. So, on that same subject though, with like veganism and such, this is one question I get to ask you. I just want to ask you this before we move on to like kind of wrapping up. So as someone who competes at your level, like you're super strong. You're setting new records and such. That's amazing. Do you get a lot of people coming to ask you and be like, how do you do this as a vegan, or like maybe they find out you're vegan after they hear about what you've accomplished? Does that happen? Like, how do you respond to that?
It does happen. I think most people in the gym don't know that I'm vegan unless they follow me on social media
Mm-hmm.
because I don't just come to the gym and be like, I'm vegan. Who wants tofu? Or, oh, you
Yeah.
eat meat? You eat dead bodies? That's disgusting.
Yeah.
I don't do that. Uh, and I think I really I call it silent activism.
Uh huh.
I think people first need to fall in love with you and your story and what you do instead to respect you for what you do before you start pitching any ideas to them. So if you come into the gym or you come into wherever at work, I don't know, your friends group, and you be like, yo, milk comes from raping cows and taking away their babies, people are going to be like, whoa. But if you accomplish something first and they be like, hey, how did you do that?
Mm-hmm.
What did you do? What did you eat? How did you train? How did you recover? And you can just tell them that calmly. They might try it out.
Yeah.
So I am all for just doing your best. And if you do really great, allowing people to approach you and ask. And I share my program on my website. I share my program in my vegan powerlifting starting guide that just dropped on Amazon. It's a book that I wrote. It's $20. You should check it
Mm-hmm.
out. There's a program that is how to calculate your macros, how a couple of my clients ate and what they did to get success, how what exactly I eat, and comparison of like tofu and bacon and beans and rice and like popular foods and social support mechanisms. Anyways, I'm very happy with this book and I think you should check it out. And if you don't have the resources to buy it, send me a message and I can probably send it to you for free. So, anyways, I think if you just share how you do it, for people who are interested, that's very helpful. So I've been sharing what I eat like on my social media for a while now, right? I've been sharing how I lift, and I think those two things are independent of each other. How you lift and how you eat and how you recover are and your social support are probably like the four key things,
Uh-huh.
right? If you don't have any social support and you feel like you're going against everybody, that's gonna be a load on your mental health,
Mm-hmm.
right? If you lift great, but you eat like shit, maybe not so well. If you lift very, I don't know, whole food plant-based, or people like to say clean, whatever
Mm-hmm.
that means for each person, yeah, maybe good for your longevity, but you might not achieve success in strength or in looks, because I've been trying
Mm-hmm.
to do this like all my life. And until I had a structured program, no matter how well I ate, or if I dieted, or if I try to like gain muscle, that did not happen.
Yeah.
And the recovery, I do sauna weekly. I don't think there has been enough research on sauna that I can cite, the scientific research, but
Uh-huh.
I am confident it gives like sauna, ice bath weekly
Yeah.
gives me amazing recovery benefits.
Uh-huh.
So that's my opinion that I can, like I said, I cannot back this by any research yet. I will look for it, but I'm confident that brings me more results than like any creams or massages or acupuncture or anything like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just PT, stretching, and sauna
Uh-huh.
for recovery. But yeah, if you share those individual things when people are curious, you're like, okay, you're interested in recovery? I do this. You're interested in lifting?
Uh-huh.
This is my program. And they don't have to replicate, but they can at least look at it and be like, oh, that's doable. I could do that. Maybe I
Yeah.
can do something similar, but like more adapted to me.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree with the whole like silent activism approach too. It's like lead by example. I think it's the best thing because people get really defensive about certain things and like
Right.
all like the I think a lot of people who are really passionate about veganism, they'll want to be involved in like the protests and such, but they've done research on that kind of stuff and they've shown that it can actually be detrimental. People don't like to,
Really?
yeah, I think Robert Cheek, he just put a book out
Yeah.
called The Impactful Vegan. But he talks all about like activism approaches and stuff. It's really interesting. I thought that was really cool because like he references studies and such, and he basically does say that like the silent activism approach is one of the most effective things because people they're more receptive to it. It
People
totally
like
makes sense.
stories and people like to copy
Yeah,
people who are successful. So how about you become
yeah,
successful enough so people want to copy your way of life instead
yeah,
of getting into people's faces and disrupting their way of life?
yeah.
I
Exactly.
completely agree. And I
Right,
haven't
right.
read the research. It just kind of made sense to me. It's like
It just makes sense.
if I was walking to the fancy opera in my fur coat and somebody threw red paint at me, I'd be like, what an asshole. This coat was expensive.
Exactly.
Right? Even though, like, I want to do this, I want to go and throw some red paint on some fur, but
Yeah,
what does that do? That pisses off a person, wastes their coat, so they then need to create more trash and buy probably another fur coat, and then they get to hate vegans for a good reason. So,
yeah. Exactly. That's you summed that up so well. That's so true. So let's start to
anytime.
kind of let's start to kind of wrap up here. Do you have
Yeah.
any future goals in mind that you're kind of working towards, or what do you have in mind there? Like either
Um,
personal or powerlifting goals, whatever.
Personal goals. I want to have kids.
Okay.
Is that a goal that I can say on this podcast?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's a
Um,
personal goal.
yeah, I haven't researched enough how I can lift and stay like pregnant or after pregnancy. Like I've looked at some individual people who have done that, but there's not a lot of research that is like, yeah, you can lift until third trimester. They say that you can lift until your third trimester unchanged if you don't have any bad symptoms, but
Uh huh.
there's just it looks like it's very raw, like evidence-based research. There's not a lot of control studies on that. So
Wow, that's surprising. There's not a lot of studies on like women's health. It's really messed
it's
up.
not surprising. We live in a patriarchal society, Ryan. Of course,
It's
it's
not.
not
I know.
surprising. What do you
It's
mean? If you could get
not.
pregnant, there'd be studies all over the internet about it, but unfortunately, you can't get pregnant. Only I
I
can.
know. Unfortunately, it's not surprising. But I mean, I would at least think there'd be a little more research on like pregnancy. That's that's kind of crazy.
Yeah, and like in Russia, everybody's so obsessed with like not doing anything potentially detrimental for the child when you're pregnant that I'd be like, I'm just ready. If I get pregnant there, I'm gonna get so much shit for lifting while pregnant. I'm still gonna do it,
Yeah.
but and like as long as I'm healthy, it's not impacting the baby. But I'm just like I know how much heat I'm gonna get. I already get so much heat for like lifting heavy. Everybody says my pelvic floor is deteriorating and my uterus is being lowered and like is gonna drop through my asshole because I lift so heavy. Just yeah, I'm destroying my knees and my back. I mean, I heard all of it when I
Oh,
was
we've
there
all
for four
heard it.
months this summer. But
Yeah.
I heard all of it over 4 months this summer in Russia. I heard all of
Oh,
it over that time versus I heard the same amount over however long I was vegan and lifting in the United States. So it's
yeah.
like kind of like being vegan here 15 years ago.
That's yeah, that's
Yeah.
a good point. Veganism here has definitely changed a lot in 15 years. That's another really good
So
point.
if you want to
Yeah.
support some of my socials, I'd appreciate it because I'm about to get a shitload of hate over the next however amount of time that I'm taking care of my parents in Russia.
Yeah.
Wish me luck.
Do you know
Uh,
roughly how long you'll be over there for? Are you planning to come back?
Probably until my parents die.
Oh, yeah, you think it'll okay. That was kind of
No,
sad,
it's okay.
but
Everybody asks that question. I answer honestly,
yeah.
so you don't have to feel bad about asking it. I'm just
All right,
being
well, I guess I'm not the only one
real.
at least. All right. So you think you'll be over there for a bit? I would think,
I
right? A
hope I'll
couple
be there
years
for
at
a bit.
least.
I'm
Yeah.
planning to come to the States and compete with Vegan Strong PlantBuilt if they still want
Okay.
me.
Okay.
Um, Yeah, and continue to kick ass and
Yeah.
represent veganism in a positive way here. And it's an international athletic team, right? So it doesn't matter where you live. Like we have athletes from France and Norway
Uh
and
huh.
Australia and Brazil, so and Canada. It's not just an American team. It's an international team, so that makes it awesome.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. What about where can people find you and connect with you and such if they want to, and like your books and
Yes.
such?
If you Google my name, which is Katya Gorbacheva, you can find probably my YouTube, which is called just my name.
Mm-hmm.
You can find me on Instagram using my last name, which is Gorbacheva and E, because my full name is Ekaterina. So I didn't think about Gorbacheva K, because Katya is technically my nickname but good luck pronouncing Yekaterina correctly. So,
Mm-hmm.
anyways, Gorbacheva E is my Instagram. That's in English. Vegan underscore powerlifter is my Instagram in Russian. If you know a Russian speaker who is thinking of starting to lift weights or going vegan, do share that with them. My Russian YouTube is also vegan powerlifter. Um, my two websites are Total Body Lab, which is my like old website that has recipes and blogs. And my newer website is Vegan Powerlifter, veganpowerlifter.com, where you can read the most recent blogs and buy my coaching programs or my books or download the free infographics for meet checklist. If you have never done a powerlifting meet, you can download a really, really useful meet checklist infographics that says what you need to bring, clothes, equipment, food, like literally everything. Like I said, if you don't have the money to buy the vegan powerlifting starter guide on my website or on Amazon, send me a message. I can send you a free link. It's okay. I understand that. And if you want a discount on coaching, you can mention that you've listened to this podcast and that you would like a discount because I do accept coaching clients, but I realize not everybody is in the US. Not everybody is as affluent as Americans, so I'm happy to help you guys out. And my cost of living will be a little lower now that I'll be living with parents and taking care of them. So
Mm-hmm.
I can give the adequate vegans or like single moms of multiple children a discount um, if they think they need one.
That's great. Thank you so much, Kaya. Is there anything else you want to wrap up with here? We haven't really touched on, or anything you want to throw out there for a closing remark or
Yeah,
two?
I have two quotes that I really enjoy.
Okay.
I don't know who the first quote is by, but it's the train is heavy, the locomotive is heavy. If you start pushing it, it won't move, but if you keep pushing it, it'll start moving. and it'll gain momentum and it'll move faster and faster. And it takes time to gain speed. But keep pushing the locomotive and it will gain speed and then you'll be unstoppable. The goal is just to keep pushing, so don't stop. And the second quote is by one of my favorite Russian comedians, Mikhail Zhvanetsky. Uh, and it goes, don't swim with the current, don't swim against the current, swim wherever the hell you need to swim. So
I
just
love
remember
that.
that when you think about like, oh, you've been called fat all your life. Now you're gonna get shredded. Or like, you've been skinny and now you're gonna like gain all the muscle. It's not about proving yourself to the others or to yourself. It's just figuring out what you really want and what makes you happy and what you're comfortable with long term and sticking to that and fuck all other people's opinions. Just
Yeah.
swim wherever you need to swim. And it may take some time or some therapy or some trial and error to figure that out, but that's the only thing that has worked for me to made me
Hmm.
decently happy. So I hope
Yeah.
you do that too.
Oh, it's so great. Yeah, I love those quotes. Yeah, it's so important just to be yourself. And obviously, there's going to be always somebody who hates on you for whatever you want to do, but try to do whatever makes you happy. And that's the secret to life, I would say. Awesome. All right. Thank you so much, Katya. Stay on for a little bit after this so I can give you a proper thank you and everything. But for
Yeah.
anyone who listened this far, thank you so much, guys. And I'll catch you in the next episode. See you later. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Ethics Approach podcast. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you haven't already, I'd really appreciate if you gave the podcast a follow anywhere where you're listening to this and dropping a review if you liked it. Please also feel free to check out the Ethics Approach website for additional content, including coaching services, free training programs, articles, and merch, as well as the Ethics Fitness YouTube. Feel free to also check out my personal fitness Instagram, which can be found at Tofu Strong, for updates and even more content. And of course, dropping a like, commenting, and sharing is always hugely appreciated and is a quick, easy, and free way to help me keep producing more content like this. Thank you so much again to my Ethics Fitness community. Much love, as always, and I'll see you again in the next episode soon. Peace out.